Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambeau channel. The XRP community has uncovered something that certainly has the appearance, at least, of being scandalous. It has the appearance of impropriety. It has the appearance of being very unethical. And it has to do with the suit of the SEC against Ripple, and it has to do with the treatment of Ether under SEC guidance, just certain individuals that are no longer with the SEC. And so I do want to be clear from the beginning here. First of all, look, what I see here is that this doesn't pass the smell test right now. I'm not going to make an accusation about a particular individual in terms of, yes, this person absolutely did something wrong, because I don't know for sure. But this doesn't look to me like it passed the smell test. It really doesn't. At a minimum, and then maybe this is all it is, I'll acknowledge that. At a minimum, there is extreme hypocrisy at play at the SEC, at a minimum, but it could be much worse. Now, thankfully, there are members of the XRP community that look into all sorts of things. We got some really good investigators on our side, I will say. So you're going to find this fascinating, might make your blood boil a little bit, but hey, it is what it is, and at least this stuff's being uncovered here. I also want to be clear that I don't have a legal or financial background of any kind. I'm not offering any sort of advice, and so you should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast in the world of crypto that likes to talk about Ripple and XRP and really all sorts of crypto-related stories that I find interesting and make YouTube videos about it, but that is all that it is. Now, I made a video on a similar topic yesterday, and I'm going to just briefly touch on it just to make sure that everyone's caught up to speed, because you do need to know this. You need this understanding and this context for the rest of what I cover to make sense here. Although if you want the full details, I encourage you. I made a sufficiently long and detailed video yesterday surrounding this, so if you have time, I encourage you to check that out as well. But you'll be able to flow through. If you haven't seen that video, don't worry, you can proceed. But something was found by Arturo Portilla, and he's a Mexican tax and fintech lawyer. That's how he describes himself on Twitter here. And he wrote, "Did the SEC just inadvertently acknowledge that the XRP ledger is decentralized? Has it then evolved into a non-security?" And then he put in parentheses here, Hinman. And so what he's talking about here is Bill Hinman, who was with the SEC. I'll get into the specifics of his background a little bit later in the video. But what you need to know at this point is that there's a legal document in which the SEC, and this is, mind you, this is from March 17th, this is new. The SEC found that, and they stated it in this legal document, having to do with Ripple, that the XRP ledger, in order to conduct transactions, there is no need for a central counterparty. So they're citing there, effectively, literally, that the XRP ledger is decentralized, and that's important because Mr. Hinman, I don't know if I had that pulled up for this video. Maybe oh yeah, I did. Yeah, okay. And here's a picture of him right here. Bill Hinman, Director, Division of Corporation Finance at the SEC. I'm not going to read through this whole thing because I made a whole video, went into great detail, but he cited that if a cryptocurrency is sufficiently decentralized, then it really doesn't fall under SEC guidelines of what a security would be. And so I even made the point yesterday when I made this video. I was like, so plug in anywhere you see Ether, plug in XRP, and tell me if it's the same story. Because it is. It's the same damn thing. And so right there we already had hypocrisy. So then the question is, why the hell did the SEC provide clarity around Bitcoin and Ether only? Why did they stop there? Especially when XRP has striking similarities to what's happened with Ether. Why would they stop there? And in fact, there's a video, and I highlighted the content of it in a previous video, where Vitalik Buterin, in the early days, he's talking about how they were raising funds for the Ethereum Foundation, and at the initial distribution, he said that it was a setup that was very similar to what Ripple did. He literally said that. And functionally, there's a lot of similarities here, and so it just doesn't make sense to me, especially given that they cited that the Ether of the past is different than the Ether of today. And I think that's true of XRP too. I mean, I know it is. It absolutely is. And even Bitcoin, you could argue that it was centralized when it started because Satoshi Nakamoto mined the first block, and right then that's 100% control. So he can 51% attack himself when there's no one else on the network. You know what I'm saying? He absolutely at that point had control, but then it became decentralized, and Bitcoin today is decentralized, and that's all well and good. And so shout out to attorney John Deaton, who brought this up on Twitter, and he wrote, last night on the Chain Show. That's another YouTube channel. You should check them out. They got good stuff. But last night on the Chain Show, I said that there was information that would demonstrate the conflicts of interest when Bill Hinman said this in 2018, and referencing the types of stuff that he had publicly stated and what he wrote in that article that I just highlighted there. And so here's why this matters. And then John Deaton's crypto law website, and this is their Twitter handle on the screen right there, they linked to this article. This is where the meat of it really is, now that we're caught up to speed here. This comes from a website called Value Walk. Maintaining trust is key to cryptocurrency's future success. And then they have this little subheading here, a cautionary tale of William Hinman. And this is brand new stuff. You can see this was written on March 18th. The case of William Hinman provides a cautionary tale. Hinman left one of the nation's top tech law firms in 2017 to take the helm at the Securities Exchange Commission, a corporation finance division, where he won accolades for introducing policies intended to protect investors in an industry regarded as a kind of Wild West. But from his perch, he also appears to have weighed in on issues involving the interests of his old firm, Simpson, Thatcher, and Bartlett, whose clients include some of the biggest players in the cryptocurrency marketplace and some with ties to China. China. That's how I have to say it now. China. Whether you do or don't like Trump, it's China now. I'm not pretending that's a good impression. That's just how you're supposed to say it now. China. Anyway, Hinman's appointment has raised conflict of interest questions with some people in the industry. For starters, he received an annual pension from Simpson, Thatcher, and Bartlett that totaled about $1.6 million while at the SEC, vastly larger than his SEC salary. What's more, after stepping down from his SEC post late last year, Henman returned to his previous employer, another example of a revolving door between government and private industry. And so pause right there. At the minimum, does that not make your ears raise up a little bit? Is that passing the smell test? I'm not sure if that's passing the smell test right there. $1.6 million. While he's effectively verbally setting, I understand it's not a binding document, legal document, but effectively verbally setting policy having to do with Ether when he's got buddies that have ties to that. What the hell? So if you want to ask the question, why did he stop after Ethereum? So there's verbal clarity on Bitcoin and Ether. Why did they stop there? Well, maybe he didn't have any friends at Ripple. It doesn't look good though, right? I know I'm not the only one that thinks this, very clearly. And then the piece continues. To be sure, there appears to be nothing illegal about taking his pension while at the SEC, but a former SEC ethics lawyer told Business Insider that the payments were, quote, a little unsettling. Yeah, and so that's why I was clear at the outset. I'm not claiming that there's anything legally nefarious. I'm not stating that. But certainly, from an ethical perspective, this doesn't seem right, does it? I want to know, did Ether get special treatment? Because it certainly appears that way. In fact, even before I had this information, actually, I already held that position. Before I had any of this information, I said, I've asked it on this channel. I said, why did Ether get special protections that XRP didn't when they're strikingly similar, right? And now I have this information, I'm like, lovely. This is exactly what we need here, right? This is exactly what we freaking need. Oh, man. Let me jump down a little bit here because some of this just talks about Bitcoin. I don't think I wanted to cover that. Let me go a little bit lower here. They have this subheading now. And it does get specifically to XRP and Ethereum, so check this out, though. The right regulatory framework for cryptocurrencies. In the absence of federal leadership, New York, as the financial center of the world, is trying to find the right regulatory framework for cryptocurrencies. 2 years ago, the Empire State created a crypto task force to determine how to to regulate, utilize, and define cryptocurrencies with special attention to the cost of mining cryptocurrencies and tax collection. But reactions to New York's efforts have been mixed. While some supporters welcome the transparent, rigorous framework, critics complain that its proposed regulations would be too severe and might make it impossible for US-based cryptocurrencies to compete globally. And a subnational regulatory regime for cryptocurrency makes little sense. Several New York-based crypto startups reacted to the new rules there by merely decamping to locales with more amenable regulations, like neighboring New Jersey and Connecticut. This subnational patchwork of regulation is, unfortunately, symptomatic of the current patchwork of policies that have failed to provide the nascent technology with the regulatory umbrella it needs, which is why some experts believe the federal government should take a more active role in this industry. So Hinman played a significant role in establishing regulations for digital currency while at the SEC. For example, in 2018, he proposed that the SEC take into account the level of decentralization of a digital currency before classifying it a security at a time when the agency was considering classifying most digital currencies as securities. And so again, that actual point, I brought it up in my video yesterday, but I've been bringing it on and off, bringing it up on this channel on and off for 2 years at this point, 2+ years. The whole time I've been running this channel. Decentralization matters because before this technology, what would it have meant to have an asset you could purchase that could be decentralized or centralized? Like it wasn't a thing. And so that's why shoehorning all this into the existing regulatory framework is stupid. STOOPID, stupid. Doesn't make a damn lick of sense here. And then that continues here. His time at the SEC also coincided with his former law firm's effort to lead a $100 million IPO of Chinese-based crypto miner Canaan Inc., the world's second largest maker of Bitcoin mining machines. And now we get into a part here where we're talking about XRP and Ethereum specifically. And so check out what this article has to say. Two other cryptocurrencies that have become valuable and somewhat useful are XRP, which is used for inter-central bank clearing, and Ethereum, a smart contract global computer blockchain. However, a recent SEC lawsuit against the XRP crypto caused it to lose roughly 2/3 of its value. And that's worded improperly, obviously. The SEC didn't sue XRP, they sued Ripple, the company, but people conflate the two on the reg, so it is what it is. In their case, I think it was a legitimate mistake, whereas with Bitcoin maxi trolls, they do it intentionally. But anyway, the lawsuit came as Henman left to return to Simpson Thacher, which is a member of the Ethereum Alliance. See, it's like he was at the law firm, then he works at the SEC, comes up with guidelines, which absolutely favor Ether and the Ethereum Alliance, and then he goes back to the law firm. Like, duh, we're just supposed to gloss over that? Is that what we're supposed to do here? Anyway, investors and other adherents of cryptocurrencies may reflexively resist regulatory authority, but without some sort of robust federal governance of the market, it will remain a niche offering used by a small cohort of investors. What's more, the common use of cryptocurrencies to facilitate illicit transactions makes it problematic for governments across the globe. If it is impossible for them to rein in such actions, the Biden administration may conclude that it would be more prudent to try and end these altogether, a difficult or impossible task, or else encourage the Federal Reserve to issue a competing digital currency. Introducing government competition to financial markets is a modus operandi for Obama-Biden technocrats. And of course, that wouldn't do anything because all that you're talking about there, and I know that not everybody gets this if you're not ingrained in crypto enough, haven't done enough research, but if you're talking about competing against Bitcoin with a central bank digital currency, then you're missing the point. Because a central bank digital currency still has the same underlying monetary policy as fiat currency, which is already digital, by the way. You're just talking about a new form of digitalization, whatever. And it's not going to do anything. You got to understand that the secret sauce is in the decentralization. That's what it is. And so I think a lot of people, clearly the author here doesn't seem to even get that particular point. I don't think that they have done sufficient research to understand that. But I still don't think for a moment the federal government's going to like ban crypto outright, because if they do, it's not going to go away. You're never going to get all the hundreds of countries the world over to agree to ban, which means that all of the innovation is just going to happen somewhere else. And if a cryptocurrency is ultimately going to become a global reserve, what's that mean for the United States dollar? And so it doesn't make sense to push that over, because if that's going to happen, if you expedite it by the United States by pretending like it doesn't exist, like what do you think everybody else in the world would want? Like, even though everybody would rather be the ruler of the world and like be in charge of whatever the global reserve is, if you can't have that, wouldn't it be better if you're not ever going to be the one in charge of the global reserve to just have a level playing field? And so every other country on the planet you'd think would prefer that over the United States dollar, at least, because the United States has all sorts of special powers, geopolitical powers, when it comes to interactions on just like a whole array of different topics, negotiation tactics and this and that. And so that's where it's at. But yeah, as far as the XRP and Ether situation here, it's just gross to me. I don't know what the hell's going on here. Either way, Ether got special treatment, and so whether there's something nefarious or not, which I don't know, and that's why I'm not going to make some sort of claim like somebody did something illegal. I don't know that. Even if not illegal, it still has a real bad look. Ethically, it's highly questionable. And even if it doesn't, even if there wasn't something like, let's say that this situation didn't exist with Hinman and his law firm and the interest that they had in the Ethereum Alliance, let's say that didn't exist, Ether is still getting special treatment, and it still doesn't make sense logically. So either way, we got to get to the bottom of this. And I appreciate everybody that's been looking into all of this. We're all just trying to learn together, because that's all we can do here. But I'll go ahead and wrap up there. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.